And we'll be back in a moment with Pastor Paul Begley. We're going to talk about a few more apocalyptic events, and then we'll get to your calls on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back. George Noory with you, Paul Begley with us, the pastor. Paul, we've gone through a number of apocalyptic possibilities. Let's talk about incoming asteroid threats to the planet. There are some that are out there.
There definitely is. And, I mean, one of the big ones is Friday the 13th, April the 13th, 2029, the asteroid Apophis, which is the Egyptian god of chaos. We've known about this one a long time, George, and It's coming. And it's supposed to, the last calculation, I believe, by NASA scientists is within 18,600 miles of the surface of the Earth. That's inside the satellite belt. This thing is 4.5 football fields wide. It's a problem, and apparently it's a big problem that everybody's trying to figure out ways how they're going to divert it, push it, blow it up, or do something. I don't know. Are you serious? And there's more coming before that. So and the Bible prophesied we would have asteroids and deep impacts and wormwood effects. So we're going to take this. This is all part of the apocalyptic era we're in.
And the problem is our gravity could suck some of these things right in.
Absolutely. And the companion asteroids that are behind them. So you may have an asteroid coming. It's going to miss you, but what you don't know, because you can't see, is how many smaller ones, the ones that are companion traveling behind it, that are wider out than the asteroid itself. And actually, with all the sophisticated equipment we have, and the probes and the observatories, we just can't see every one of them coming at us. There are days, I study the asteroid charts every day. There are days asteroids near miss us by less than half the distance of the moon, and we don't know they're even coming till they just zip by, and then then they record it, give it a name, and put it up. And it's inevitable, George. It is inevitable. The prophecies of the Bible guarantee we're going to have some deep impacts that are going to affect the Earth in a traumatic way.
And then, Paul, you have the 3 A's: aliens, artificial intelligence, and the Antichrist. Let's start with the alien portion. What do you think?
Let's start with it. Yeah, I'm actually doing a webinar. It's coming up in July that I'll be doing, and with a lot of different speakers on all 3 of these subjects. They all tie in together. First of all, the alien phenomenon, which we've known about for years. The people have so many reports of abductions, alien encounters, UFO sightings, what have you. There is no question that when you study the human race, we can go back to the extra biblical text from the book of Enoch. We can go to Genesis 6. We know that there were, at one time, giants on the land, Nephilim, Rephaim. So we know we've had extra celestial bodies. The Bible does talk about celestial and terrestrial bodies. So the ET phenomenon is all part of the end-time convergence. I truly believe that, from a biblical text, I believe that Lucifer and the fallen ones realize that time is running out. They believe the Bible and they tremble. And now they're going to do every type of way to bring fear upon mankind, to try to derail the return of the Messiah. They're going to try every way in the world to do that. So we really see the alien phenomenon as a part of that process. I'm not going to rule out aliens by no stretch of imagination. God is so huge. Look at this universe. There's no doubt about it that he could create 100 Earths or 100 other Earth-like planets in galaxies beyond our comprehension. There's no limitation to God. And so encounters eventually are bound to happen, sort of like Columbus sailing the ocean. Eventually we find a new world. Well, as we climb into the heavens, we eventually encounter things that we weren't even aware of. And so we're definitely going to address this, and we're going to address it from every angle, from a biblical text, UFOologist, everyone. We're going to let everybody get a shot here because I think it's important to address it.
Artificial intelligence, how does that factor into this?
Well, when you're looking at AI technology, it literally is marching us toward a change on the end of the age. Even in the Bible, when it talks about the image of the beast, it says in Revelation that the image of the beast will be able to speak and cause as many as don't follow his image or take his mark could be put to death. In other words, we are trusting man. Man has come to the point it trusts artificial intelligence over itself. I say it this way. People trust Google more than God. We generally don't ask God for answers no more. We ask Google.
Okay. Yeah. And so, sadly, you're right.
There's an eye they just come out with. Okay, we have surveillance cameras all over the place that record what people are doing, and then authorities have to go back to review the tape. But there's a new eye. It's a camera. It's an eye, a real all-seeing eye. This new technology will soon, within the next 5 years, be part of our culture. The eye not only records you and sees you, but the eye will be able to use face recognition to identify you. It can also has its own AI brain to determine what you're about to do or you're doing. It can call the authorities on the spot to alert them of burglary in process or a rape in process or some kind of violent act, and will have the capability to zap you with a laser zap or some type of electronic shock to neutralize you at least until authorities arrive. So we're going to be when you start talking about defunding police, you have to know what in the world are you going to use to manage the people. It will be this new AI, all-seeing eye, is the Illuminati eye, or whatever you want to call it, but this eye has the capability. It will restructure people. People will no longer fear one another. They will fear the eye.
I'd rather call the police department than the eye, wouldn't you?
Well, I think so. I would much rather trust in human interaction and determination than because the eye is going to be based on the information that's loaded into it. It's what's right, what's wrong, by whose standard? Well, by the standard of whoever inputs the eye. And what if it gets the facial recognition wrong and zaps you when you're not even the right guy? There's because people can use disguises that can change it. There's so much manipulation going on now that even the facial recognition can be manipulated. People can change their identity. If you're going to change your identity on the facial recognition, then they still can't get you. So, again, we're dealing with a whole new world. When you talk about George Orwell, when you want to talk about 1984, it's really 2020, George. This world is changed. It's not coming back.
The Antichrist. You saved the best to last on this one.
Yeah, he's alive. He's alive, George. In my opinion, he's alive and he's getting in position. He's not a world leader yet, but he is in the ranks.
Does he know who he is, or what he is?
Do not. I think that there's probably 100 of them that are being groomed by the puppet masters, and none of them know exactly which one's going to be chosen. There's at least 100 of them that are being groomed almost like Manchurian candidates. And when the time comes to choose, and a lot of people, I think when they read the Bible, they think that the Antichrist appears, he flips a switch, and he puts in a whole new beast kingdom.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No, it's not going to happen that way.
It gets set up first. The Antichrist is chosen to lead it. And so the kingdom of the Antichrist, of the biblical text of the end of time, is already being laid. That foundation is being laid using technology of every kind of level. I believe there's at least 100 people who have been selected and are being trained, and they may know they're one of the 100, or they may hope they're one of the 100, but they still, the person who will be does not know. And the Bible says that the Antichrist is known as the son of perdition. The only other person in the Bible known as the son of perdition was Judas Iscariot, the great betrayer. So, and Satan had to enter into Judas. Jesus said, whatever you're going to do it now. But he said, I've chosen 12 disciples. One of you is the devil. So, and then he says, if you're going to do it now. And it says Satan entered into him. So God allowed this to happen. The same thing's going to happen with the Antichrist. He is being groomed. He's being prepped. He's being prepared. And he hasn't been chosen yet, but I believe he's alive. There's too many things converging at once. It's unbelievable. It just, you can start talking about the Middle East. You talk about the nations gathering around Israel. That's a very prophetic timepiece. Or maybe you can take a look at advancement in technology that could implement the mark of the beast. That is accelerating beyond our measure. We look at all of the things, the geopolitical, the changing, the people wanting socialism or even super, communism type change in America. Whoever thought that the greatest nation of the world would walk away from the very thing that made it great? But we're in a different world now, and it's a convergence. And the heavens are shaking. The asteroids are coming. The waves of energy, the temperature of the planet, the polar shifts are happening. The polar caps are melting. This is all part of the Bible's prophecies of the last days.
What do you think of the sign of the beast, the 666? What does that mean to you, Paul?
To me, it means an economic indicator. Without this registry, you have to, and this is not something you're going to get tricked into, because the Bible clearly tells you that people choose to take this mark. Whatever it is, whether it's a chip or some kind of biometric identification system, people will choose. They will sign up for it. They will sign up to receive it. And once they get it, they're saying, I agree. I don't believe in, they're going to say religion as a whole is the biggest problem of the earth. So this new society is going to be an anti-God society, a humanistic society that believes in euthanasia, that, yes, once you're no longer viable, you probably should be moved on. It's going to believe in it's going to be a very self-fulfilling, you need to be healthy, you got to eat right. It's going to be very social controlling, and the allegiance is to the system, to the beast itself. The beast will have a leader, the Antichrist with a false prophet, who is some kind of spiritual guru, wrapping everything up into one package, and a one-world economic system, a one-world currency, which is really not going to be money, but it's going to be electronically done. And the world is going to buy into it to try to eliminate hunger and bring peace and kumbaya. And it's a utopia system that is anti-God. And according to the Bible, it's blasphemous because it does anti-God. It takes also individualism away. There'll be no such thing as a right of free expression, a freedom of choice, a freedom of your voice. This is a utopian society based on humanistic, atheistic ideology, and requires you to sign up. And if you don't, you're on your own. You're off the grid, and you'll be hunted. Look at the movies, George, that are already coming out. The Hunted.
It's almost like they're trying to get us ready for it.
Right. They're putting in our mind that people need to be hunted. People need to be purged. And it's actually affecting us because now during our protesting, and I'm all for the First Amendment, but protesting is one thing. Going into people's neighborhoods and saying, let's go into these neighborhoods and let's attack certain groups of people, that's beyond protesting. That's part of the purge. That's when you hear these certain terms, this is a change in the ideology of the mind and the soul of the human experience. And we're getting closer to the beast. So the mark of the beast is a system that's using electronics or technological advancements to fulfill the biblical narrative of the beast itself. And that's why that kingdom will fail. Now, Adolf Hitler was actually like a forerunner. He would have been like John the Baptist, okay? He tried to set up a kingdom that would last 1,000 years. Exactly what Christ said he's going to do when he comes. And Hitler wanted to create a superior race. He wanted to do away with all religion.
He was insane.
He was insane, but he was possessed with this insanity. And how in the world did he convince a nation to follow that? That is real power, George. That is ultimate power. And the beast and the Antichrist himself will have that kind of power, but on a global scale. And he is being groomed now for such a time as that.
And on the scale again, you would say we are where? Most past civilizations, Paul, have all thought they were in end times. They were all wrong. But do you think we are?
Yes, and that's a fair question. I do believe we're in the end times. What does that mean? Does that mean we have 5 years? Does that mean we have 50? Does that mean we have 15 months? That is the answer. That's the question I can't answer. But can I say this? We are in the end times. We're way past the point of no return here. We're in the downstretch. If this is a horse race, we've turned the final corner. We're in the final stretch run. We can see the finish line, and it's closing in. And it would not shock me that people listening to my voice as we speak will literally see the coming of the Lord. Does not shock me.
Let's take a quick call with Cindy in New York before the break, and then we'll come back with final calls. Go ahead, Cindy.
Wow, the program is so negative and so scary. I'm sorry I tuned in tonight.
Yeah, you can't hide it, though. You can't stick your head in the sand. If it is, it is.
I know, but I think the state of the world, of our country right now, everybody's depressed. Everybody's worried about their job. Everybody's worried about their health.
You're absolutely right.
This is poor timing. Your guest is very nice. It's nothing to do with him. It's just poor timing. What we need are some upbeat programs.
Oh, we have a lot of those, but you can't assume that none of this is happening.
I've said some of his quotes on my own, like rumors of wars and pestilence and all that. I've noticed it too, but this is really like super negative tonight. I don't enjoy the program. Sorry.
Super negative or super real?
I think it's too negative. I think what we need right now is we need a little bit of...
I know, but that's not going to make this go away. That's my point. It's real.
A lot of things he said are speculation. He can't prove any of them.
No, they're all happening.
Yeah.
Everything he's gone through. Now, the big question is that tied into biblical prophecy? Who knows? But everything, we just went through 12 or 13 different stages and events. All of them have happening. Paul, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with more. Paul's website, of course, is paulbegleyprophecy.com, linked up at coasttocoastam.com. And, Cindy, you're absolutely right. Nobody wants to talk about this stuff, but it's there. You have to. You can't avoid it. It's the real deal. Back in a moment with final calls on Coast to Coast AM. And we'll be back in a moment with Pastor Paul Begley to take final phone calls as we talk about the apocalypse. On our next Coast to Coast program, we're going to talk about some privacy issues and then followed by a couple hours on vampires. So get ready for that. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, our final segment with Pastor Paul Begley. Paul, what do you say as a pastor to people who think, oh, my God, what a topic. It's so negative and scary. You can't ignore it.
No, you can't ignore it. And I understand that reaction because, we all want everything to just be all come out roses and everything be beautiful and nothing ever happen. But in reality, we have to address things when they happen. If you break your leg, nobody wants to break their leg, but if you do, you got to get it fixed. It may require surgery and even therapy. We can ignore it and say, I'm just not going to deal with this. Your leg is still broke. And I think that's the way it is in the reality. And we're in a situation now. This is a year like we've never seen, but there's more things that are coming that we can't change. So it's best to take it on, get the truth, find out what's going on, and know how to deal with it. And we can do this in a positive way.
Let's go to Greg, Bakersfield, California. Hi, Greg. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. This one might get worse. They did the Three Gorges Dam. I went over there for the project, and I had a counterpart. We were going to Wuhan.
Aha.
Ah, yes.
Jeez.
And I asked him something that was in the environmental document. It had to do with when they flood the place, China, they're going to have seaports farther up, but they're going to lose the riparian habitat, and the critters that live by the river would, of course, be flooded out and move, and you'd have more interaction with people. And in Wuhan, whether they decided to put a lab in there to work on it, to mitigate, they didn't want to talk about that. About Chinese and face, it's interesting.
Yeah, they didn't want anybody to know what's really going on. Interesting take on that. Wuhan, China. I don't know, Paul. This COVID-19 is a weird thing, isn't it?
It really is. And, George, I think that what we're doing is there's going to be an investigation when this thing's all said and done. And it may be very, very eye-opening when people find out the real origin of the Wuhan, China flu and how it affected the world. I think there's got to be some geopolitical implications behind it. So and what's real worrisome in some ways is what else is coming. What other diseases are buried in laboratories somewhere in Antarctica or other places of the world?
What's worse behind COVID-19? Exactly.
Yeah.
Next up, we go to Elaine in Fort Myers, Florida. Hello, Elaine. Welcome to the program.
Hi, George.
Hi.
I just want to take it back to the basics. I just want to take it back to the nature of the earth. And I just think, unfortunately, the answer is it's very simple. Humans are overpopulating the planet and destroying and polluting the planet. And Mother Nature and Mother Earth always fixes that. It's a live planet.
We could be part of the prophecy, Paul. What do you think?
Well, it's a good point. I mean, more people you have, when you have a large population, especially in cities, it becomes difficult to manage people and garbage and disease and different things that can happen. But then again, you look at the rest of the planet, you see unbelievable amounts of it that's never even been in habit. There's nobody living there at all. If we were better at spreading it out, we were told to multiply, and there's a lot of room left. I think that maybe greed and a tendency to congregate too close has helped bring a lot of this on. But to the point, we got a lot of folks living in close proximity. It does cause for some major problems, and it could be part of the prophecies of why we're in this shape we're in.
And why do we have to be in this kind of situation if we're righteous and good? Is it that there's not enough of us?
That's it. George, there's not enough of it. There's not enough people who just want to do the right thing. There at one point, I think, on the planet there was, but as we get further along, part of the grand scheme is to control the population. I mean, I've heard you talk about the COVID thing has created all this tracing. That's another part of the beast kingdom. It's another part of it of the mark of the beast is the ability to trace people, to know exactly where they're at all times. They did it with our cell phones. That's made it pretty easy. But they could make it even easier by biometric systems to test us and track us, and that's coming. My wife's car, she's got a beautiful Lexus. They keep calling her on the phone saying, "Please come in. We must fix your GPS." She goes, "I don't care about the GPS. If you're worried about my, the alternator, that'd be great. But the GPS is the last thing I'm worried about." And they call her every week. We need to fix it. Why?
They want to know where she is.
Okay, so control is a big deal, and that brings about a lot of anxiety. Then when you know you're being constantly watched or monitored.
Next up, let's go out to Oregon. Hello, Elisa. Welcome to the program.
Hello, George.
Hi.
I think we all need to send Cindy some love and protection in her awakening.
Yes, she's upset.
Yes. So I hear that the COVID-20's already been made, but that's not my question.
That's what Jerry Corsi thinks. You're right, but go ahead.
Yes. So I was wanting to know if Pastor has any thoughts or information about the Starseed Lightworkers that are here to assist us in our ascension from the 3D to the 5D, and also what about the timeline shift?
What about the star seeds that might be here to help us, Paul?
Are we talking about? I'm just trying to understand the question, but are we talking about? Did you say to take us from 3G to 5G?
Yes, that's been a big controversy as well.
Oh yes. I mean, this is a huge controversy, and people, we don't know. We really don't know the effects of what 5G is going to do to the human race. I understand it's a web system to help machines speak to machines and monitor and do all kinds of technological abilities, but what is the effects of that much radio waves going through our body? There's no doubt it's going to have a negative effect on us. We don't know what that long term is. Probably 20 years from now, we're going to know. I look for it to bring about new diseases, new sores. You know, when you read in the Bible about the mark of the beast, it talks about the men who take the mark get bad sores, grievous sores on their body, and they blaspheme God over their sores.
Jeez.
So man is not made to interface with machines, and we're going to see some cancerous or horrific effects on the human body from, I think, the 5G apparatus.
And what about Starseed people that might be here to help us get through this mess? Do you know anything about that? Are they here?
Well, they could be, and I don't know exactly how they will help us. I mean, look, everybody's looking for a way to find relief to some of these traumatic events that are happening. I think at the end of the day, God certainly sent us a lot of angels. He sent us a lot of angelic beings and ministering spirits to help us, to help us, even to catch us before we fall. So I think that we've been given all the assistance that we probably need if we would recognize what it is and what he's reaching out to us. God's filled with love, and he wants mankind to have love in their hearts and to love one another. So we're in some difficult eras now because one hand, we're trying to do good and show goodness and love, and the other hand, we're combating evil on a constant basis. So we need all the help we can get.
Our first-time caller, we go to Las Vegas. Midnight's with us. Hello, Midnight.
Hello, George. Blessed be.
Thank you.
I am calling because I've been listening, and your guest and I agree on many things, although I am, a third degree Wiccan high priestess and a fourth generation psychic and astrologer. And over the years, astrologers and astronomers rarely agree on anything, but they have agreed on one thing, and that is your guest mentioned that December 21st, there would be a major conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn on that day. Well, number one, 25 degrees apart, it's not a conjunction. Number two, when the Star of Bethlehem appeared, it has been researched, and it happened, number one, in the spring when Jesus was really born. But number two, it was a time of not one star, not two, but what's called a stellium. A stellium is a star confirmation. It's an appearance of 5 stars or more that will point to a major event occurring in the sky. So I just suggest that, because I feel that's wrong to say Jupiter and Saturn are going to cause some major big deal on that particular day, because they're too far apart in conjunction with degrees, and we have to have a stellium to point out a major event of the coming of Christ or a higher consciousness. Of course, I'm a Wiccan. Now, I have to point out one thing, and that is we don't believe in the devil. So that's one thing that I've always had a problem with any interview I've ever done, and that is We've always been accused of believing in the devil, and we don't.
You don't believe in the devil. Now, very quickly, Midnight, tell us why you don't.
Excuse me?
Why do you not believe in the devil?
Because we believe in the God and the goddess. The God both is male and female. The earth is male and female. We believe in the sun god and the moon goddess. Satan was created way later than paganism was by the church to control the masses and keep fear in them all the time.
All right, let's get Paul's reaction to that. Paul, give it a shot. What do you think?
Yeah, well, my first reaction is I hate to correct the caller, but this is a conjunction that Jupiter and Saturn are only going to be 0.1 degrees south of Saturn. Jupiter is going to be 0.1 degree south of Saturn. This is the closest conjunction since 1623. So absolutely, this will be the brightest star in the sky since the Star of Bethlehem. Now, I agree with the caller. The Star of Bethlehem happened in the spring and not in December. But I'm not comparing it to the Star of Bethlehem. I'm saying that God gave us a star when Christ first came. It was a sign in the heavens that the Messiah had arrived. And now we're having what's called the Great Conjunction, the brightest star since that period, 2,000 years, because of Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. It is a big deal. It's also in the winter solstice. This is a big deal in the heavens. And every time that there's a big biblical event in the Bible, it's always backed by a sign in the heavens. So now, as far as the devil's concerned, if there isn't a devil, I'd sure like to know who's causing all of this wickedness and sin
and evil. That's right.
Against mankind. So I'm going to have to disagree with Mike.
There's got to be evil out there somewhere, Paul, and it's got to come from some source.
God, if there's a God, there's got to be a devil. If there's good, there's got to be evil. There's no doubt.
And there's no way God would create the evil intentionally on its own, would he?
No, he did not. Lucifer decided to do the rebellion in heaven. He was already there. It was all good. Man doesn't have to do evil on his own either, but he chooses to. It's always been, that's the one great thing about God. He allows everyone a choice, but the consequences of our choice we will have to face, and mankind is about to face its consequences.
Paul, take a quick moment and tell people where they can track you down and listen to you on YouTube.
I would love for you folks to come to my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com. That's paulbegleyprophecy.com. You can find out all of my material and everything I'm doing there. Also, I have a weekly television show every Sunday night on World Harvest Television on DirecTV channel 367.
Oh, great.
At 10 p.m. Eastern. You can watch 30 minutes of the coming apocalypse every Sunday night on DirecTV channel 367. But every day I'm on, George, from noon to 2 with the current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. A little bit of humor, a lot of lightheartedness, but a lot of truth. And so enjoy. And you can come and be a part of the audience with a live chat. So we'd love for you to be a part of it.
Super. Well, you stay safe, Paul. Keep in touch with us, okay?
We will, and it's a pleasure being on tonight. Thank you so much, George.
Paul Begley, his website linked up at coasttocoastam.com. For Dan Galante, Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladouceur, Greg Bishop, Stephanie Smith, Chris Boros, Tim Binnall, George Knapp, and Ian Punnett, I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.